Hey, Gigg's Moviepage, this is Michael. I'm sorry I haven't done a review in a while. Just a lot of things have been going on. I've been working extra hours. Hang on a sec. Working extra hours at my job. There hasn't been a movie I wanted to see out there for a while. And I know a lot of people wanted to see it. I really, after seeing the miniseries on ABC with Tim Curry as Pennywise, I really wasn't interested in seeing it. And then I ended up seeing somebody tried showing me the movie, and the sound was so off I couldn't understand it. 45 minutes into the movie, I just figured I'm done. So it looked promising, but I'd rather wait till the second part, chapter 2, comes out, and then I'll maybe do a review about it. But until then, I just wasn't interested. I did a written review of The Hitman's Bodyguard, which I saw twice, which is the last movie I did. And I know I should have filmed myself, but I was just not feeling fantastic that day. And I had just gotten a new tattoo, so I was tired from, painful. So I just sat down and just chimed in my thoughts. I'm here today to talk to you about, again, this time I did a review, this is me doing a review of Kingsman: The Golden Circle. This is the one movie I was waiting for all month long because I wasn't interested in seeing I wasn't interested in seeing Mother, which everybody saw and was just like not pleased. They just said it was like an art house Darren Aronofsky mind trip of a movie. I wasn't interested in seeing the Lego Ninjago movie because I wasn't a fan of the Lego movie. So, and what other movies are coming out? So Kingsman I saw, and I remember the first one, The Secret Service. I was blown away. I actually thought it was a very good movie. It was more of a Roger Moore Bond film with a little bit of humor. And I love the story of a hard-boiled English gentleman spy, played by Colin Firth. He takes a kid under his wing and trains him to be who would later become his replacement, but ultimately train him to be a gentleman spy and help them thwart basically an evil tech billionaire, played by Samuel Jackson, who was out to basically started I wouldn't say kill people, but basically start a gigantic riot. So when they decided to do the Golden Circle, it's like, oh, okay, cool. You didn't realize that the Golden Circle was actually a reference to Julianne Moore's business. I thought it was just between the Kingsman and the Statesman, because I heard the U.S. Kingsman called the Statesman were going to be involved. So I was like, oh, okay. And then we get all these big-named actors doing the sequel. So this one starts off with basically the movie just starts off. It just says you see the Kingsman tailor shop, and it just says the Secret Service the Golden Circle. So the movie just starts off right away. It takes place a year after the events of Kingsman. Eggsy, still played by Taron Egerton, is the Kingsman's #1 agent. He's now Galahad, taking over Harry's spot, while Roxy is Lancelot. And Merlin is still Merlin. And they have a new boss, a new Arthur, played by Michael Gambon. Eggsy is done for the day. He's about to go home, go on a date with his girlfriend, Penelope, the Swedish gal from the first movie, the princess who, basically said, you ever do this? We can do it in the bum? I'll be right back. And then Eggsy's dating her, so it wasn't like a one-off fling, and that was it. This one, he's he's about to go on a date, and then he is accosted in the middle of the street, or on the sidewalk, by Charlie, a former Kingsman agent who was ousted from the company and ultimately was part of Valentine's cronies, but was believed to be dead. These two end up having a fight in a taxi, and basically they're just fighting in the small close quarters combat in the back seat of the cab, going all over the place. And while this is happening, they hit the TV, and Prince's Let's Go Crazy from the Purple Rain soundtrack comes on. I'm just like, oh, hell yeah, fight scene to Prince. They're beating the shit out of each other. Are we gonna let the elevator break us down? I don't know, let's go. So I was like, hell yeah. Long story short, Charlie escapes but loses his robotic arm, which will come back to haunt the Kingsman. Eggsy finds a way to escape who's ever after him, and ultimately finds an underground lair that the Kingsmen have, but has to jump through a sewer. Basically, did what Tom Robbins did in the Shawshank Redemption, which is climb through a river of shit to get out. So Merlin's like, yeah, if you really need this date, that's the only exit you got. So Eggsy realizes, the hell with it. Jumps in and goes through it, runs into Penelope, goes home, changes, and thinks nothing of it. However, the next day at the Kingsman headquarters, Arthur tells Lancelot and Galahad, along with Merlin, Charlie didn't die at Valentine's. While the bomb in everybody's implanted neck killed everybody, Eggsy shocking him apparently didn't kill him. What it did was it destroyed Charlie's voice box and blew off his right arm. We find out later that Charlie's actually working for a woman named Poppy, played by Julianne Moore, who runs this pharmaceutical company that's worth billions. And thanks to her, she gave Charlie a new arm and a voice box to help his voice. Also, with the help of Charlie, she's able to locate who the Kingsmen are, and basically, right in the middle of a dinner that Eggsy's having with his Penelope's, I think it was Sophie or Penelope's family members, his apartment and his house gets bombed. The headquarters gets bombed with Roxy inside, and the office with Arthur inside gets bombed. So Michael Gambon just had a glorified cameo, and he's gone. I wasn't happy with him killing off Roxy. I thought she was fantastic in the first movie, and even though we see her run for her life, we don't, she could have died, she could have survived. I mean, hell, they brought back Harry, which I'll get to in a minute. So who knows? But I think anybody with the Lancelot title is jinxed or cursed. Every person with the Lancelot title has always died. It was the guy in the first movie and Eggsy's father, so now it's Roxy. So basically while this happened, Eggsy is just now like, what do I do? He runs into Merlin, who basically accuses Merlin of being a traitor, while Merlin accuses him of the same thing. So now, outmanned, outgunned, and having no other options, they decide to initiate the Doomsday Protocol, which has them going to this wine facility, going into their safe for puffs, and all they find there is a bottle of Kentucky bourbon, which happens to be Statesman. So first they're like, oh, let's have a drink. To Roxy, to Arthur, to JB. And then after literally killing the whole bottle, they're crying their eyes out, wondering what's going on. And well, it's like, fuck it, let's have a drink. Let's have a toast to Scotland. No, hang on. They find on the back that it says that the bourbon was made in Kentucky, but the Kentucky has the Kingsman logo on it. So they decide, let's go to Kentucky, and they go to the headquarters, the Statesman headquarters in Kentucky. While they go there trying to find a secret entrance, unfortunately they end up running to a cowboy played by Channing Tatum, who happens to be a Statesman agent, and ends up beating them both with a Winchester without even shooting it. They wake up and realize two things. One, that he's not buying who they are, and two, Harry Hart is alive, minus an eye. He has amnesia, and Colin Firth does return. Unfortunately, with the amnesia, he has no idea who he is, and he thinks that he's a butterfly expert rather than being a gentleman spy. So while this is happening, Halle Berry, who's the U.S. version of Merlin, says, "Hey, we just found an umbrella in the Doomsday Protocol, and it has the Statesman logo it says Kingsman, but with the S logo on it. So obviously, the Statesman and the Kingsman were same branches but different countries." So, rather than, being a dick, he decides, welcome to Statesman, cuts them loose, and has them meet the head honcho, Champ, or Champagne, played by Jeff Bridges, who tells them, there are two agents who work for me. Agent Tequila, which is Channing Tatum, and Agent Whiskey, played by Pedro Pascal, and Ginger Ale, our tech agent, played by Halle Berry. Thing is, after figuring out what's going on, Champ decides whatever Eggsy needs, he's got. Our resources, our money, our tools, what have you. And the fact that the thing is cool is that the Kingsmen were tailors, but the Statesmen were into the alcohol business, which is why they have like over $3.5 billion at their disposal, so that could help them. So while trying to get Arthur back to his old form, Eggsy and Tequila have to go on Whiskey, you have to go on a series of missions to try and figure out what is Poppy's endgame and why does she want the Kingsmen dead. A lot of people complain saying that it wasn't as good as the first movie. I kind of liked it, the first one, a lot of people thought that the first one's too serious and this one's not serious enough. They're spy movies. The fact that they have an umbrella that shoots off trank guns and other stuff is just, it's just craziness. So, I liked it. I did a pros and cons on another, what worked for me, what didn't work for me. The pros of the movie are that all the actors, the Kingsman actors, the returning actors, all came back in solid form. Colin Firth missing one eye and having amnesia. I thought it was great, great for his character. And the fact that he does come back at the very end to help them was great. Taron Egerton, I think that this is his franchise. I know that with all these big name Oscar winning actors, to me, I think he's the main protagonist, and he's awesome. And this one, there's character development, because in one scene, you can tell he misses Harry, and then after that, him and Harry have to team up to stop Poppy, and of course deal with his girlfriend. So there's nice character development there. There's Halle Berry works out of the American actors. Pedro Pascal, I think, was the best out of all the American actors. Everybody else just did their thing. And also, even though his name is on the poster, we don't see him in the credits, Elton John steals the show whenever he's on. They played several of his songs, and there's a gag where, spoiler by the way, there's a gag where he says, what's that? I think people are here to rescue you. He gets on his piano and just starts playing Saturday Nights Out for Fighting, and then he changes the lyric to Wednesday, Wednesday. And when Garth's like, sir, that's not how the lyrics go. What's today's date? It's Wednesday. And then he punches the guy and then starts playing again, which I always thought was the funniest thing ever. And it's weird because I've never heard him say the words fuck you, but he says it throughout the whole movie. And then one scene where he saves Harry, they play Rocket Man, and I was like, hell yeah. So I thought he stole the show. Also the action scenes I thought were nice. I know the quick cuts, but it was great. And it was nice seeing Matthew Vaughn do a sequel. He didn't get a chance to do X-Men Days of Future Past, but he got to do this one, which I thought was cool. What didn't work for me a lot. First of all, Channing Tatum is like, they heavily promoted the hell out of him. He's on the poster next to Eggsy and with the bullwhip and the lasso. And it's basically nothing but a glorified cameo. It's just, that's all he does. Just, he's there, and then he gets sidelined, and then he gets, because the thing is, and the major sub point in the movie is that Poppy is infecting people who do recreational drugs, cocaine, marijuana, heroin, opiates. He gets infected and has this blue strain on him, so he's out of the movie throughout most, he's basically out. And then, of course, Jeff Bridges, you have an Oscar-winning actor, great guy. He's playing a cowboy. I would have loved to have more scenes with him, but, he did it okay. I mean, I just wish there was more of him. Julianne Moore, I thought, was just too nice of a villain. Not to mention, was ditzy at times. And not to mention, that's the thing about the villains. It's just like they always have like one guy with prosthetic legs or prosthetic arm to do all the heavy lifting, and they're just sitting in the back, just like dee-dee-dee, dee-dee-dee. They sound like a badass, but they look like a candy ass in the end. So I was not a fan. I was not a fan of that. Her plot to take over was kind of dumb. So let's see. One of the characters at the end has a change of heart, and this last minute thing they try to add in, like a character twist, I thought was kind of stupid. And then of course there's a subplot involving Eggsy's girlfriend and his friends who are also under the drugs as well, which I thought was kind of stupid. They're just throwing that in. And then of course there's a controversial scene involving Eggsy trying to get information from this young gal, played by Irene Delevingne, I think, or she's Cara Delevingne's sister. And basically he has to do something with her, and involves her making out and being in her undergarments. She's a good-looking woman, there's nothing wrong with that, but, a lot of people felt that scene was kind of dumb, because it calls back to the first scene where Eggsy's going to have sex with the princess, anal, and in this one, Eggsy has to track an implant through her, in an area I'm not even going to mention on here. So there was some stupid plots like that, but to me, I thought it was a funny action film, I wish that it came out in the summer, but there ain't nothing happening here, so cool. I know a lot of people say it's not as good as the first one. To me, I thought it was okay, pretty decent. I'm going to say Kingsman Golden Circle, and then filler. So just go see it. If anything, the relationship between Eggsy and Harry is what made this movie work, and it's perfect. So anyways, that's Michael. I'll see you guys later. Bye.